Hello, my name is Ben Schwartz, and welcome to the very first Albany Firebirds review and preview show. You have obviously been on the Firebirds nest for a while and gotten acclimated for its features, because this is our first show, but the site has been around quite some time, and obviously we've already played the first week, so you've gotten probably used to the layout and everything, so I don't need to explain that kind of thing. But as far as the show goes, it's a weekly deal, and it'll be about every Wednesday, and it will be reviewing, as the name of the show describes. It will review the previous game. It will probably go into some insight, get some interviews, especially after home games. That'll be the main time when we get interviews, because after the game I'll be able to go up with my press pass and interview the players firsthand. And the review and preview show after away games, such as today's show, will feature a phone or video interview, usually from one player instead of a bunch of players like after a home game. So the show, again, like I said, is weekly, and it will also preview the next game, but usually not. We won't go too far into the next week usually, because there's much to talk about in the next show. So today's show will obviously be talking about that first game we just played against the Thunder. We proved that we have a good receiving core. We had Mike Wall, Alvin Ray Jackson, Christian Wise. We had Anthony Rodriguez as well. They didn't really drop any passes until maybe the third quarter. It was very solid performance from our receivers. But obviously it's very important that they have a quarterback to throw it, and that was one of our main issues, I guess. I wouldn't really call that an issue because it was sort of resolved. So Wasso went down early in the game with an injury, and Bednarik came in to sub in for him, and I really appreciated his style of play. It's unconventional. It seemed like every play was the Eli Manning to David Tyree play. He was just running around the pocket. He was a little crazy, and while that's not always an effective way to play quarterback in the AF2 or the Arena League, it was certainly interesting and fun to watch him. And it was my first Firebirds game, obviously, first for everyone. This roster is totally new. It was definitely interesting to see a person like him play. So, as I said before, we had very effective receiving, and I'm sure you're watching some highlights right now, but some of our most effective receivers were Wise, Rodriguez, Wall, and Jackson. They all had a touchdown in the game, but Wise had 128 yards, which is very high, and Rodriguez had 11 receptions. He was the reception leader. Back on defense, we also had, fairly good defensive performance. Alvin Ray Jackson, who was one of our receivers that got a touchdown, actually forced a fumble. And that actually leads into my next point, which there were a lot of fumbles in this game. I don't know, what was going on there. I haven't really seen that many AF2 games, so this was interesting. I don't know if there are that many fumbles usually, but the Thunder had 4 fumble recoveries, and only one of them was forced. So that's basically just purely mistakes by either, whether it's center to quarterback transfer, quarterback at one point, Bednarik just let the ball out of his hand. It was a Jay Cutler-esque play. So, there were minor slip-ups, but mistakes like that, that's really the reason we lost. It was a very close game. We were leading until the very end, and you can pretty much blame that 100% on the fumbles, which came at very inopportune times near the goal line, and when we were finally getting drives going, all of a sudden they'd be fumbled away. So the quarterback situation is obviously very interesting. Bednarik might get the start next week. We're not 100% sure on that because the team apparently has signed Brett Hall, who is a quarterback off of free agency, but that's not 100% confirmed. That comes from a source that also posted on the Firebirds nest. And in the end, we really did play well when we had the ball in our hands and we didn't fumble. So fans should not get discouraged by this game, because it showed that we're really capable of winning against, the Thunder, not necessarily the best team in the league, but we're capable of winning games. It's probably not going to be like last year, and if we get the fumbles out of the way, then, we can win some games legitimately. We have great receivers. Bednarik will be fun to watch if he starts, and we certainly have a good team to watch, and not too bad of a defense. So now we have Christian Wise on the show, and we'll get to the interview that I did with him earlier today. Today we have wide receiver / defensive back Christian Wise on the show. He's made an impact for the Firebirds in his first game, and certainly looks like one of our top players. So, Christian, how is it going?
What's up, what's up? Everything's good.
Even though this game was a loss, what do you take from it as a team who is very new together and in some cases actually new to the game itself and hasn't really played much arena football?
Well, I mean, we took an L, but it was just like, everybody was pretty much fairly new to the whole arena game and just being introduced to the game itself. So there's a lot of mental mistakes and errors that we had, but we basically are back, to the drawing board, back to practice, working hard, and, basically it's a whole nother look and feel this week with practice and the intensity and what guys know what they have to do this week and getting ready for week 2.
What is it like running routes when your quarterback, Bednarik, was scrambling like crazy and running around the pocket and going nuts? Do you have to adjust yourself to that kind of style of quarterback? Or do you run your routes normally and hope that he gets you the ball where you're supposed to be?
Yeah, Adam does scramble around a lot. But, I mean, that was just probably the West VA in him and just getting acclimated to the arena game, also sitting in the pocket and doing his thing with that. But we definitely very confident in Adam and with him taking over because we didn't know before game 1 who was going to be the starter anyway.
What do you think was the biggest contribution to this loss? And obviously there were many fumbles. Was that the main reason, do you think?
Turnovers had to be the biggest contributor. Those crucial turnovers that we had towards the end of the game, that was pretty much it, and guys making, mental mistakes, which are definitely being fixed now.
After playing this first game, what do you think of the Firebirds' playoff chances and how they may do over the course of this season?
Playoff run, we were basically getting down. It's still early in the season. I mean, it's a 17-week season, 16 games, and I mean, we're taking it game by game and week by week.
Now it's time for a new segment, obviously, and a new show. It's called the 5 Firebirds Quick Fire Questions. Kind of hard to say, but it's basically 5 questions that are shorties, but the answers don't necessarily have to be that short, but they're quick ones, and we'll burn through them pretty fast. So, number 1, who have you become most friendly with or closest to on the team?
The closest person I'm probably with on the team is Lawrence Wade, and that was my roommate.
Number 2, is there any significance behind the number 5?
Nah, there's no significance to number 5. It was I wanted number 3, but my boy got it. My boy was gonna take it, and number 5 is something that I've been wearing for a while, and also my little brother, he wears number 5, so he's definitely happy with that.
3, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you like the new Firebirds jerseys?
I definitely like the jerseys. Haven't seen the home jerseys, how they fit, but so far I give the jerseys a definite 10, and we like the whole scheme on how they look.
4, what do you think that our record will be this year?
We'll see at the end of the season. I definitely can't say what our record will be, but I'm sure it's going to be a very positive and productive outlook, and definitely a good one.
5, over under, 3 different quarterbacks start this year.
I'm going to definitely say under 3 quarterbacks.
All right, thank you to Christian for that interview, and C-Wise will probably be coming on the show more frequently than others, because as you saw during training camp, he is a contributor to the site, so he posts his own videos sometimes and will come on the show quite frequently because I had a relationship with him previous to the season actually starting, so I got to know him before that. And we're going to diversify the interviews, but Wise is definitely, obviously, he's one of our top receivers, one of the top players on the team, and he's definitely someone that we want to get insight from. So next week, we're playing Scranton Pioneers. Did extremely well last year. They were 14-2 and got off to a good start this year by winning their first game. And it should be challenging, but as we saw this week, the Firebirds certainly have potential, and if they can stay healthy and they can avoid fumbles, we'll probably see a victory.